Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, to have a conversation. Anytime we get a platform to extend the conversation and educate and empower our community is always an opportunity I like to take advantage of. So thank you for that. As I introduce myself, yes, guys, I'm LaVaisha Davis. I'm actually a private wealth manager and investment advisor for a multifamily office in the Atlanta area. And we also have a location in Dallas as well. So that's where our ties are between the Dallas and the Atlanta markets when you say where. And I'm originally from Ohio and I speak about my roots very often too. So a little bit of a move and shift over there. But that is our primary location.
Okay, so how can we be in touch or get in touch with your Dallas connection? Because I had no idea, and now I'm sitting here going, all right, so we're going to make sure that we connect because I'm sure there's clearly there's a way that we can love on each other and support each other and lift each other up one way or another. So let's make darn sure that that happens.
Absolutely. We can definitely do that. We're going to make sure we put something on the calendar. I'm in the Dallas area quarterly, so we can definitely make sure we have some time for that. And how people can reach me, I definitely try to keep it simple. So it's just my name. So you can go to lavaishadavis.com to explore more. There's opportunities there for us to connect on our socials. There's opportunities there for to schedule a quick consultation with our team as we describe more of what we do and if you sound like it's a good fit of where you are in your wealth journey. And you can also kind of dabble around and find out more about me and the firm I represent there as well.
Love that. Love that. So I know Ohio, and so does that mean you're a LeBron fan? I know.
I mean, it's like more of a celebration of LeBron fan. That's a stretch.
I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. I think it's so crazy. And I don't know why it seems that it's intensified on Facebook, especially the debate. And I'm sitting here, leave the damn debate alone. Amazing players. Amazing players. Let's just let's give them their
Let
flowers, right?
everyone rest in what they do well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I saw at some point you went to Ohio State, and I'm sitting here going, there's a connection already because I think you went in as a biology major.
Yes.
I see a buddy of mine, David Heapon, who's also a Baylor grad. So I came into Baylor as a pre-med major, and
Hmm.
and really that really wasn't where I was led, where my heart was. I just thought that's where the money was, not
Hmm.
realizing that no, the money bit is following your heart and following your passion. And all of a sudden, I landed in the business school and graduated, like 4 decades ago, which is crazy. And all of a sudden, that's where the wealth was because I wasn't chasing at that point. I wasn't chasing wealth. I think I was just chasing my passion, what excited me, what I enjoyed doing. And all of a sudden, damn, the wealth followed. Woo woo!
Hmm.
Right?
Yes, yes. Very
So
similar story.
right? So tell me this. What I'm really so intrigued about is when I've read about you, for me it's all about I feel and I see and I hear wealth building. So
Mhm.
LaVaisha, where did that passion come from? Or did you kind of fall into it and you're like, well, damn, this is who I am. I love lifting communities and people and educating and where did that come from?
Absolutely. I'm here by divine redirection. As you described, I have a similar experience with my choice in what I was pursuing in my higher education. I originally started out as a pre-med major. I thought that was going to be what broke the generational curse that many of us are breaking in our family. So as I was studying, my husband had more of an entrepreneur spirit, and he wanted to start a business while we were broke college students. I don't know why he decided to do that at that time, but that was his idea. And through that journey, there was just a lot of lessons that we learned. One of them being the importance of knowing the money and having to understand that. So I leaned into learning that, to benefit his entrepreneur journey. But when you couple that with a little life travesty, unfortunately, my brother was a victim of violence. He was our only brother, my mom's only son, and we didn't have the resources to bury him at the time of his demise. And just watching my family struggle in that moment with resources, my mom didn't, she couldn't even afford to grieve, has to go back to work. It was just kind of devastating. So a combination of events and my husband's entrepreneurial journey just end up shifting where I was putting all my efforts into. And just like you, I ended up in financial services and just kind of took it as far as I could go to be able to help people not only create wealth, because that's one aspect of it, or create individual financial security, I should say. For that's one aspect. But creating multi-generational wealth is an entirely different thing. And that's the part I wanted to focus on.
Well, and that's the part I'm so excited about hearing about because I tell folks this. I feel like um, if we're not the first generation, we're one B, and finally having an opportunity to talk wealth building and talk legacy because my parents uh the biggest financial decision they ever made was to buy that home here in
Mhm.
Plano, right, which has been free and clear for 30 years.
Wow.
uh but that was it. There was no other discussion, no other investments, no nothing, no nothing. And now I feel like now that we know better, we're doing better
Mhm.
because I have a real opportunity to leave a legacy. And when people talk about my big why right now, I tell them it's easy. It's respected legacy. That's it. Because I want my grandkids that I don't even have to
Mhm.
know that their grandfather did the damn thing,
Yeah.
right? And gave them an opportunity. And so I feel like that's why I'm busting it now. And again, I've been fortunate. I think like everyone on this call, if you're on this call and I think standing up right, you've been fortunate and you are, right?
Mhm.
So tell me, I mean, between my notes were, you know, you had even in your bio, you had talked about some debt reduction, like 3 million, and all this stuff in building banks. And so I want you to speak on all of that because you know what, 20 minutes will fly by.
Yes,
So
they do.
like,
Yes, they
so
do.
give me the cliff notes because I'm already so excited about really taking it even deeper than this conversation. And so I feel like everybody on this call and those who will chime in, even on YouTube and Facebook, they're going to get nuggets
Yeah.
because I've already gotten them. So drop some more nuggets on me. I'm ready.
No, absolutely. I think because we live such in a fast-paced environment, we think that wealth is going to be a result of one move that we make, one financial product, one investment. As you just described, your parents used the best resource that they had, which was their access to buy a home, and became 100% dependent on that to create the wealth. And what we fail to realize is wealth is not obtained just through the tips and tricks. It's obtained through having a playbook. There has to be a plan behind the everything that we're doing. And in our community, we kind of lack the infrastructure that holds the plan. Um, I often use an analogy about, when we had our Christmas mornings and we would wake up with the toys that were on our Christmas list, what our parents worked so hard to get. But we wanted to play with those toys right then and there. We're like, hey, I want to play with this right now. But when you go to power your toy on and it doesn't power up and you're looking around and you read it on the back, what does that toy typically say? Why is it not powering up? What
Batteries.
batteries not included?
All right, batteries. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, like your wealth is those financial products, the house, the real estate, that's the toy, but the playbook is the batteries. That is what drives, like, how do we need to continue to invest? And when I say playbook, I mean a plan, a written, living, breathing document that every family member and every advisor that you work with is aligned with that knows we want our name to mean this in 50 years to be valued at this, where our children have this for generation one, generation two, generation three. And without that type of destination in mind, if you aim for nothing, you're going to hit it with 100% accuracy. And what we're getting caught in while we're on this destination, we're just stopping at random gas stations just because they're there, not because we need fuel. Like, oh, here's a gas station. Let me invest in crypto. Oh, here's a gas station. Let me just start this trust. Oh, here's a gas station. Instead of just stopping, only making the stops that's necessary, that's going to drive you to the destination. And that's the biggest difference between sustainable wealth, wealth that we can keep, and us just having a good lifestyle for ourselves individually. So those grandchildren you speak of, in order for them to really receive your intention, their parents need to know the play, the children need to know the play, and they need to follow it for a long time in order for that wealth to come into fruition.
I love that. I love that. And it's so crazy. I think, we talk about our RAS, right? That reticular activating system. It's like, you know what, you're pregnant now, you notice the pregnant women's everywhere, right? You've got a red car, you notice red cars. It's crazy. Just last week, I reached out to one of my financial guys because I wanted him to have a conversation with my 25-year-old
Mhm.
and really start his journey. And again, just with baby steps. And it's not like the kid makes a lot of money, but yet he can afford $200 or $300 a month, easy. Right. And I'm like, son, we got to start somewhere. You need to start somewhere. So, and I feel like this conversation we're having is lockstep along that same path.
Mhm.
So thank you for again investing and really validating that yes, Ben, you need a playbook and you got to start. You got to start somewhere. So
Yeah. Now,
thank
if
you
I
for
can expand on that, you said your 25-year-old son,
yes.
and you said you were encouraging him to build something with what he could from a financial standpoint.
Yes.
That's another point when we are talking about creating family wealth. Established wealth within families lean more towards how that 25-year-old can develop intellectual capital that's going to produce more financial capital in the future. So rather than focus on what he can contribute from a dollar standpoint, how can we invest into you from a skill development standpoint where you're going to be able to bring that intellectual property back and grow our family value? Like so the conversation, because he may not hear it as, oh, I need to be saving for myself. We need to form a more collaborative environment where we're working together. I may have more financial resources than you, but you have the biggest asset on your side, which is time.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
I'd rather invest in that than the $200 or $300 that you could possibly do. We can 10x what you're going to be able to do from your intellectual capital much further.
I love that. I love that. Intellectual capital. I feel like that's why I do this show because that's where it started initially. I wanted to invest and learn from other top professionals from all over the country during COVID when we couldn't do anything. And
Mhm.
that's how this platform started. And I feel like I've so benefited from that intellectual capital because I've been willing to invest the time and the energy. And I feel like I know that my personal growth has increased, but along with my financial growth too. So
Mhm.
um, thank you for again just really validating that I think I'm on the right track. And
Mhm.
yet I feel like I still have a long way to go, but I'm willing to invest the time and energy, good Lord willing, that,
Yes.
so let's let's do the darn thing. So I appreciate that. Now, I didn't know that you had a while back you had written a book. And so I'm gonna make darn sure I find that book and purchase it. And so soulmates, is that right?
Yes.
So and
Homemade for the
so
money maze.
oh,
Yes.
okay. So I was like, does the book basically talk about what we're talking about now, or was it a completely different stage in your life and journey?
It was a completely different stage in my life and journey. Just encouraging people to utilize the same thing we're talking about of collaborative economics and looking at things from a long-term perspective because we've been conditioned to look at our money in such small increments. What we're making on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or even an annual basis, that we break, that's how we plan our money. And what Soulmates and Money Mates was to encourage is no, look at that from what they call human capital value. How much am I going to earn in a certain period of time in 10 years? If I know I make $50,000 a year, that's $500,000 over 10 years. If you knew you were going to have 500,000, would you plan differently than knowing you just have 50,000? Like, and so when you kind of expand how you look at things, looking at 500,000, now it's like, hey, I'm trying to keep my living expenses and everything at about 30% of 500,000. That's what I can spend every year. And then the rest can go towards my savings and my investment goals. And because I've put that on the forefront, I'm looking at the bigger picture. And when you put that, when you have a partner, that's what soulmates and money mates is. It's like, hey, now we're a union. Now we're a couple. So not just my 500,000, you're going to make 500,000. That's $1 million between us. Well, how about we just use my 500,000 for expenses, lifestyle, buying a house, all that good stuff. And we're going to use your 500,000 just for investing and just kind of change your perspective. That's exactly what that book was about. So it's more like a stepping stone into what we talk about later when it's about establishing family wealth.
I love that. Yeah, so you see, you might not be able to see the folks who've joined in, but Destiny Hughes is my success manager. So Destiny, when we get off the call, find that book and purchase it. Okay. So, and then when I see
I'll
you,
send it to you, Destiny. I'll send it to you.
there you go. And when I see you, you're gonna assign the damn thing for me. I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yes, fantastic. So, and I see one of my boys, Scott. So, Scott will probably get Scott saying two books because Scott will buy one too. Because I say this gentleman right here, boy, he is all about don't let the look and the age fool you because Scott is all about learning and growing. So, I love that. So. All right. So again, because our time will go so quickly, so I do want you to talk to me about what you had sent me. One of the bullets was one the you helped eliminate 3 million in debt,
Yeah.
and then I'm so curious about becoming your own bank. Hit me
Mhm.
with those two.
They actually go very much hand in hand. Some of the biggest challenges to families building wealth is debt obligations. It eats away at the cash flow so much that you're trying to save what's left instead of paying yourself first and investing that. So if we attack the debt, we free up cash flow. And that's one of the strategies about becoming your own bank. Whether that's I know it's a very trending topic right now. You may have heard it before. But what it is the utilization of life insurance as a financial vehicle to accumulate capital to deploy in other places, whether it's to pay off debt strategically, not the traditional way. It's to pay off debt, but to use those dollars more than once. But that also becomes your vehicle where when you do have an opportunity to invest, that's where the capital comes from. But it helps do two of the most important things when you're building wealth. One is protection. We have to protect ourselves from the inevitable and the things we can't control. There's no guarantee that we're going to make it home every day. And if we are going to stand for wealth, we are walking wealth, so we need to be valued at wealth because there's corporations that value you. They have those type of policies on you. So you want to make sure you have the protection for your family if your income is ever lost. But the second thing it does, it helps us accumulate capital with no risk. Since investing is new to a lot of first generation wealth creators, you don't want to go for the shiny object syndrome where you're just investing everything that's thrown in your face. So, in order for you to master that learning curve or to seek the professional advice that you need, you don't want to delay building the capital for it until you come across that. Like, oh, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to wait until I find someone to help me choose investments to start investing or saving for investing. You don't want to do that. So life insurance helps us protect and accumulate. So when it's time to multiply, we have the resources to do it. So I encourage, if anything, that's the foundation, the heartbeat to any wealth plan is the family bank. That's the heartbeat. It's what circulates and keeps going and keeps providing for the family for multiple generations.
On a I'd say a somber note, but I don't mean for this. We won't belabor this point. Was that part of like your family and your mother?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I think we share that in common because I lost my oldest child, and
Mhm.
so didn't have insurance on him. I do
Mhm.
my wife and myself. And I've learned this from Jewish clients that no, it's like soon as that child is a newborn, they've got an insurance policy on that child. And so I'm like, we need to learn that lesson. Now, again, I was fortunate enough that, I wrote a check for the whole thing, which was still so it was so sobering to me. And I tell you, I elevated this all the way up through the company that handled it. I said, here it is, and my son was cremated, and I said, this is crazy. I still wrote a check for like 15,000 just for that. And I
Mhm.
said, most folks they have to put this on a payment plan. And
Yeah.
I feel like each and every month that they make that payment, there's a trigger, and most folks don't have 15,000. And if there was a casket and all that, again, this is a very brief conversation, but I feel like you can learn a lesson from it. And I feel like maybe that's, your family might have learned that lesson. I don't know if that propelled you into this and making sure that you guys from this point on, that mistake will never be made again.
That's absolutely correct. First off, my condolences to that pain of losing a child. I don't understand. I've witnessed it with my own eyes with my mother, but I just don't know what that feels like. So my condolences to you for that. And to your point about the lesson you learned from the Jewish community, there's so many lessons that we can learn from their community about collaborative economics. For them to be the smallest representation of the population, they have the largest amount of wealth.
Mm.
They have the largest amount of household income. They have the largest amount of philanthropic contribution per year, and they only represent 2% of the population. They hold the list. They have the most amount of people on the Forbes list. Like the when we and it's all because they operate collaboratively. So that's one lesson about the insurance that they apply to children. What they also know about family wealth is directly correlated with marriage rates and income. So they encourage marriage, they encourage to pursue careers that's going to produce the income. That's the intellectual capital I'm talking about. We want to invest in you to produce a skill that's going to produce significant amounts of income that you're
Mhm.
going to be able to return back. So there's so many lessons. A lot of our planning style is modeled after that community because we want to duplicate and replicate that. We want to be self-sustainable in our community, just like they have been able to do. And all it takes is a playbook. There's a playbook that they've been following for multiple generations. And once there is an agreement on that playbook and everybody is working on the same accord, now imagine when we're all in a rowboat, if we're all rowing in the same direction, we're going to get there a lot faster. So I hate that you and I had to learn those lessons the hard way. But everything happens for us, not to us.
Yeah.
We are just the vessels here to make change in our community. And that's exactly what I should. It did drive me into this industry, and that's exactly what I'm here to do.
This has been powerful. I cannot wait to continue this journey. And again, it is a journey, right? I think it's not a destination. As soon as we get there, we think we quit, right? We got to keep going. We got to
You
keep
got to
going.
keep going. It doesn't stop. It doesn't
Uh,
stop at all. It never stops.
Wow. Okay, like I said, our time is close. So, um, what would you like for us to know that we don't know, either personally or business?
Um, what I would like everyone to understand is that in order to achieve true wealth, if in your heart you're saying, no, I don't want to just create independent financial security for myself, where I'm building a retirement and my lifestyle, I'll be able to maintain it. I'm not a burden on anyone. If in your heart, the true objective is to create a financial boost for the next generation, you have to understand that all of your efforts require full-time attention. Wealth management is no longer a luxury, it is a requirement. And when I talk about wealth management, it is a coordinated approach. I know many of you probably already have players in your life. You may have your CPA, you may have a financial advisor, you may have an attorney. Um, but if you have not built a 25, 50-year plan that they are working off of, all you're doing is just employing your coaches, but your coaches have no playbook. It is critical if we want to build long-term wealth. It is absolutely critical that we coordinate our coaches. And if you don't possess the skill to coordinate your coaches, be okay with bringing in a professional to coordinate those coaches. Because in order for your wealth to become a reality, it has to be focused on at all times, full time. That's what I want to leave with.
I heard team is what I heard,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. But not just any team, like a team who is dedicated to building long-term wealth.
Right.
It's a specification that we're going for. We're no longer just settling for just the scraps. And I don't mean to call any professional scraps. That was probably a bad word to use. I
No,
mean
no.
I mean just the traditional financial planning models.
Right.
Like that's what I mean. Like we're no longer settling for that. We want to reign wealth for a long period of time. And that's what your team needs to be fully aware of.
I love that. Well, again, I say it each and every week. I think my motto is I bring the meat every week. And that I think the establishment of that was if you're going to give us 25 minutes of your time each and every week, you need to get something from it. What's in it for me, right?
Mhm.
And again, if you guys didn't get a nugget today, then that's a you problem, right? Because you delivered it. And again, I think I'm even more excited now to continue this because I know that I'm not done. I'm not done, and I'm so anxious to continue to grow and make a difference and see this thing expand, but not just for Ben Baker. I think, we're in a position now where this is about yes, our families, but also the communities that we serve. Because we've had the success and now we've got the significance to really start making a difference. And I know damn near everyone on this call today, and I feel like they're all in the same boat with us. That they're all wanting to go in this direction and make a difference because their hearts are in the right place.
But that's what I mean. If it's in your heart, I do want to encourage action as well, because the best way to get information from your head to your heart is through your hands.
Oh, damn, you gotta say because you see me sometimes looking away because I'm jotting notes. So say that.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah. The best way to get information from your head to your heart is through your hands. So that means we have to execute. So I would encourage everyone to take a step. We have a brief 15-minute call that you can conduct to see where you are on your wealth journey and if we can be any help to help you reach the next level. So I would encourage everyone to book that quick call, 15 minutes. We're not going to take up too much of your time. It's really just for us to see how we can help and to give you some direction. I can either drop the link in the chat for you all, or if
Please
you can
do.
use
Please
what
do.
I provided as well. But I can also drop the link if you guys want to do that.
Well, and I'll make sure we can follow that up also on our Facebook messages, and when we load it onto our YouTube channel, we can do all of that.
Yes, yes. So I just dropped that link for those that are on the call to get immediate access. And then I know you'll be sharing it later, but that is the first step. Like understanding that I need my wealth managed full time and seeking a team that can do that and what level of wealth that I'm at. So I can get the right direction. I can build my playbook that can start giving me step by step actions I can take.
Playbook. I got that too, and I'm so anxious to just like again in sports, you got a playbook. I think in wealth, you got a playbook,
Yes.
right? We got to follow it so that we can win. Touchdown! Let's
Yes, exactly.
go.
You
Let's
know,
go.
what does that like? It's pointless to have a head coach, a defensive coordinator, and an offensive coordinator if they don't have no playbook.
That's right.
Like so, so we're just that's where we're starting at. We build long-term plans too. So be ready to think big. We need your vision to be big. We can't build a tower on a foundation laid for a one-story home. We can't do it. We got to think big. So
I got
bring in the big vision.
a